Well, as the Trump administration and FHFA signal serious interest in creating a 50-year mortgage product to boost affordability, early analysis reveals troubling trade-offs: minimal monthly savings, skyrocketing lifetime interest, and reduced equity growth that could trap families in debt for decades. Joining us to discuss this and so much more is Sofia Hamilton with Young Voices back here on the Live Zone. Sofia, always good to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Sofia, I got to tell you, when I first heard about it, I gave it a thumbs up. And then I read what you just heard me make mention of, and apparently a lot of folks are crying foul. Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, so right now, housing seems unattainable to so many Americans, especially for my generation. We saw this month numbers come out that the median first-time home buyer is now 40 years old.
Wow.
So we definitely have a housing problem, and I have to give it to Trump for trying to come up with a solution, but I don't think that the 50-year mortgage is the answer, because it's not addressing the core problem that we have with housing in our country, and that's a lack of supply. And so coming up with this way to make housing more affordable will not be hitting that core problem, and really will actually be compounding it, because you're going to increase demand, and it's simple economics.
Wow. I didn't think about it like that. I just figured, let's say a house is $100. If I have a 30-year mortgage, let's say my payment is, I don't know, $3. But if we have a 50-year mortgage, perhaps it would be $1.50. And so the interest, or the amount that I would pay on a monthly basis, would decrease because the life of the loan happens to be a lot longer. You're saying, yeah, that's a good thing, but wait, there's more. More folks would actually look to purchase a home.
Exactly. So this policy from its face sounds like a good idea, because we're trying to make buying a home more affordable for more Americans, and that's great. But it wouldn't help you in the long run. Your monthly mortgage payment on average would be decreasing about $120 a month, which that's some nice extra pocket change, but that's not going to make a big difference in your life for most people. But where it really gets sticky is the interest that you would pay over the 50-year mortgage would about double. So that house now becomes much more expensive than it does under a 15-year or a 30-year mortgage.
Wow. You know what's interesting, Sofia? At one time, I looked this up, and the root word of mortgage, it's a Latin word, and it means to pay until you die. So the mere fact that a lot of folks are trying to do just that, or happen to be doing just that, and now want to extend it to some 50 years, it's somewhat amusing to me. We should also make mention that Japan, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a 100-year mortgage, and as a result, it really triggered a national real estate collapse. Oh, do tell.
So this happened back in the 1980s. Japan was facing an economic crisis, and so they introduced 50-year and 100-year mortgages that would transfer down through generations. So you could inherit your grandparents' mortgage, and it's really just enslaving them to this debt for life. And it helped lead to their economy collapsing. Their economy was already in a bad place, and that's why they introduced these extremely long-term mortgages like the 100-year mortgage. But that led to more people buying houses, which increased demand, which increased the prices of the housing market. And when that bubble eventually burst, because it's not if it bursts, it's always when, the housing prices plummeted. And so many people were unable to get back the equity that they put in their homes, and they lost out on so much money.
Wow. All right. So not to say that we're the fixers, but let's try to fix it, or at least attempt to. In this case, you're stating perhaps it all falls on state and local zoning reform to increasing housing supply. Is that correct?
100%. At its core, housing is a state and local government issue. And I appreciate President Trump and the federal government looking at this, but they really cannot increase the supply, which is the core problem that we're having to meet the rising demand for housing. And so many governments, state and local, restrict where you can build housing, what type of housing you can build, when you can build it, what the housing has to look like. And all of those tiny restrictions make homes so much more unaffordable, so much more expensive, and so much harder to build. And that's part of the reason why our housing costs have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
We need more types of homes. We need apartments. We need townhomes. We need single family homes. We need options for people that make it affordable and make the American dream come back, where you can buy a home for your family to grow into.
Yeah, well said. We all want a piece of that American dream. And hopefully one day each and every one of us can do just that. Yet again, we've been speaking with Sofia Hamilton. She is with Young Voices and kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, Sofia. Make it a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.